Hungry child on trial in alien court, his unthinkable action leaves all in awe. Chapter 1. Lost in the Stars. Eli's fingers were shaking, his stomach knotted with hunger, as he navigated the massive corridors of Station Vornak, a galactic crossroads bustling with life from 1,000 worlds. He'd been here for days, wandering the endless halls, dodging security patrols, and stealing moments of rest in forgotten maintenance closets. Eli's clothes, once the bright blue of a standard refugee uniform, were now little more than dirty rags hanging from his small frame. His brown hair, matted with dirt and sweat, clung to his forehead. He couldn't even remember how long it had been since the accident, since his family's ship was caught in the asteroid field. They were on their way to Colony Theta, looking for a better life among the stars. But then everything changed. The ship had been destroyed, and in the chaos, Eli had been separated from his parents. He had somehow made it to a lifeboat and was picked up by a freighter crew, but when they docked at the station, the crew moved on without him, leaving him stranded. At first, Eli had hoped someone from the station's security or the intergalactic authorities would find him, maybe even help him locate his parents. But days passed, and no one came. The station was vast, cold, and indifferent. To most of its inhabitants, Eli was invisible. His stomach growled loudly, drawing the attention of a passing group of aliens, 3 Norlithians with glowing green eyes and shimmering black scales. One of them glanced at him, their slit-like pupils narrowing in disgust, before they turned away, continuing their conversation in low, hissing tones. Eli's face flushed with embarrassment, and he hurried on, ducking into a quieter section of the station's marketplace. The stalls here were filled with strange and colorful goods from across the galaxy, gleaming trinkets, glowing crystals, exotic foods that filled the air with intoxicating smells. His mouth watered as he passed a stall overflowing with bright purple fruit, each one the size of his fist. The vendor, a squat, blue-skinned alien with multiple arms, was busy haggling with a customer, leaving the fruit momentarily unguarded. Eli hesitated, his heart pounding. He'd been surviving on scraps from waste bins and whatever he could scavenge, but the hunger was becoming unbearable. His vision blurred slightly, his head spinning. Before he knew what he was doing, Eli's hand darted out, snatching one of the fruits from the pile. He stuffed it into his pocket and turned to leave, his breath quick and shallow as panic gripped him. But before he could take 2 steps, a harsh voice rang out behind him. "Stop, thief." Eli froze, his blood turning to ice. He turned slowly to see the vendor, his 4 arms outstretched, pointing an accusing finger at him. In seconds, a security drone hovered into view, its metallic body whirring as it scanned the situation. A bright red light focused on Eli, casting an eerie glow over his pale face. Eli's heart raced. He clutched the stolen fruit in his pocket, knowing there was no escape. Chapter 2. The Court of the Zar'ith. Eli had heard rumors about Station Vornak's justice system, cold, efficient, and utterly unforgiving. But standing in the center of the courtroom, surrounded by towering alien figures, the reality of it hit him like a punch to the gut. The room was enormous, with vaulted ceilings that stretched so high they disappeared into darkness. Rows of alien spectators filled the galleries, watching intently as the trial unfolded. The Council of Zar'ith judges sat in an elevated circle above Eli, their reptilian faces expressionless, their glowing eyes fixed on him. The Zar'ith were a race known for their strict adherence to the rule of law. They valued order above all else, and mercy was not a word found in their legal system. At the head of the council sat Magistrate Volker, a towering figure with deep, violet scales and a long, spiny crest running down his head and back. His 4 eyes, cold and unblinking, glowed faintly in the dim light of the chamber. Eli could feel their weight on him, as if they were burning into his very soul. Eli's legs trembled beneath him as the charges were read. The alien voice of the court translator, a flat, emotionless drone, echoed through the chamber. The accused, a human male of approximately 8 standard years, stands charged with theft. The stolen item, 1 piece of citron fruit, valued at 6 credits. It seemed absurd to Eli, 6 credits. That was all. But here he was, standing trial in front of an entire alien court, his life hanging in the balance for something that barely cost more than a meal. He glanced around, hoping for some sign of sympathy, but the faces staring back at him were cold, indifferent. Some even seemed to be enjoying the spectacle, their alien mouths curling into sneers. Human. Magistrate Volker's voice boomed from above, startling Eli. The judge's voice was deep and rumbling, like distant thunder. You stand accused of theft in violation of galactic law. The penalty is severe. What do you have to say in your defense? Eli swallowed hard, his mouth dry. He could feel all eyes on him, waiting for his response. But what could he say? He didn't understand their laws, didn't even know how he ended up in this situation. All he knew was that he was hungry, alone, and terrified. His voice came out as a whisper, barely audible. Speak up, human, Volker commanded, his eyes narrowing. The court will not tolerate silence. I was hungry, Eli finally managed to say, his voice trembling. I didn't mean to cause any trouble. I haven't eaten in days. I'm sorry. The chamber was silent for a moment. Then, a low murmur spread through the crowd, the sound of aliens whispering among themselves. Eli couldn't tell whether they were shocked, amused, or simply indifferent. Magistrate Volker remained unmoved. Hunger does not excuse theft, he said coldly. The law is clear. Theft is a crime, and the punishment must be carried out. Eli's heart sank. He could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on him, crushing the small hope he had that someone might show him kindness. His mind raced, searching for some way out, but there was none. The punishment for theft aboard Station Vornak is exile, Volker declared. You'll be placed aboard a prison transport and taken to the penal colony on Vexus Prime. There, you will remain for the rest of your life. The words hit Eli like a physical blow. Exile. For the rest of his life. He was only 8 years old. Tears welled up in his eyes, but he refused to let them fall. He wouldn't cry, not here, not in front of them. Wait. Eli's voice cracked, but he forced himself to speak, his desperation driving him forward. Please, I didn't mean to steal. I was just hungry. If you want the fruit back, I still have it. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the purple fruit, holding it up for the court to see. The chamber fell silent. Eli held his breath, hoping against hope that this gesture, his willingness to return what he had taken, might change something, anything. He had nothing else to offer.